Hey, White Sox fans, this is Brett Ballantini hosting Sox Pop Postgame Podcast number 20. I'm going to try to modulate my volume because I'm outside, and I'm going to get in trouble if I don't. Hey, guess what? Just like we planned it, an 8-1 opening day victory for the White Sox. I mean, to be honest, several of us did say that the White Sox were going to somehow were going to win the opening series against the Angels. I will count myself among them. Joe will let you just politely nod and stay muted on that one. But the White Sox, huge victory, laugher of a win, other than a bit of a harried, maybe first inning for Sean Burke. Unbelievable performance from him. Homers by Austin Slater in his first White Sox at bat. Andrew Benintendi, who, of course, we all know, definitely me, who would never have picked him as the worst White Sox on the roster this year, as we all knew was going to have an all-star season, and Lenyn Sosa as well, putting one over the fence. And Nicky Lopez pitched in the game, and spoiler alert, not for the White Sox. So this has been a game that probably almost nothing bad could come of it or did come of it. 8-1 victory over the Angels. I have with me Melissa Sage-Bollenbach. Oh, you're used to her by now. Super Joseph Resis, who absolutely did not say the White Sox are going to lose this opening series against the Angels, and returning champion, and great to see him once again, the happy shining face of Brian O'Neill. Thank you for being with us, all three of you. And okay, initial reactions to the game you all clearly, just as much as me, expected to see.
It was fun. Like, that was the most, in the first inning, I was thinking the worst part about being a fan of a bad team is like the broadcast already feels like, mid-August on opening day, like just kind of the doldrums, and no one is really excited, and it just, you already feel like you're going through the paces. But it got fun. It was good pitching. There was bouts of, great hitting and some actual luck that we had, which doesn't happen a lot. And so, yeah, it felt like watching. I mean, yeah, these two teams will have 210 losses combined, but it's still a baseball game that we won, and that's more fun than we've had all in 2 years.
I'm going to take the over on those losses, Brian. But good point. I mean, it's great that the White Sox can have almost from first pitch a victory lap. What is going on here, Melissa, Joe? Reactions to again the game you both clearly anticipated you're going to see.
So I was kind of with Brian for the first couple innings. I was like, cannot anything be easy for us? Like, really, do we have to start this all over again? And then, it quickly picked up from there. And Sage and I were watching in the living room, and we're hooting and hollering and high-fiving. And, and again, it's just one game. It's just the first game. But after the misery that has been the last couple of years, it felt like way more than opening day.
Yeah. And did we think we'd have one game like this just on the pregame podcast? Because, of course, all of you listening, watching, and reading, clearly you committed to all 30, 40 minutes of that as well. So as you've memorized that, you realize that's one thing we predicted. There won't be a single easy win for the White Sox this year, whether it's 40, 50, 60, 30, whatever it is. And guess what? We already got one under our belt. That's absolutely nearly impossible. Joe Resis, who's on that podcast with me, and not in agreement when we all did agree that there will be no easy wins. Well, hey, Joe, we got an easy win. I'm going to guess you enjoyed it.
Very much. I don't believe it. They're actually undefeated still after one game. Yeah, I didn't think they'd make it that far. This really was something, a truly dominant victory. You mentioned it a little bit in the intro, like the beginning was a little dicey for Burke, but what a recovery after that. Like, down the stretch, Angels just couldn't get anyone on base against him. And the offense had a couple of huge innings, and it really was smooth sailing for the vast majority of this one. I certainly didn't expect it to go this smoothly, but good start to the season.
I hate to check all my guests because they're all dear to me. I love them all. But listen, first place White Sox. It's the first place White Sox, okay? So mind your manners the rest of this podcast. First place White Sox. Okay, as much as I hate to get into any sort of very tired storylines, or the stuff you knew you were going to hear the minute the first thing happened and fell the White Sox way. It could have been in game 10. It turned out to be in like the second inning of this game. But of course, the broadcast booth pointed out that something like that weird Alphonse Gaston, you take it, no, you take it, which turned out to be a screaming double, a screaming liner of a double from Miguel Vargas, sort of put the game away. And I guess it really did turn out to be. Those were the decisive runs. Of course, what they have to say is, well, those are the breaks the White Sox didn't get last year. Now, as much as I want to just take the piss out of that, there is something to be said, because the turn of this game came on a fly ball that should have been caught. There wasn't. And who's to say, obviously, the White Sox had some homers in their bats, but maybe those homers don't get unleashed later on in the game as the complexion of the game changes. It was a pretty tight game, even with those two gift runs. So as much as I hate to cliche it or even run the storyline out there, is there something to be said for the fact that perhaps even a couple more breaks, a little bit better percentage of breaks, could go the White Sox way, and that alone could be responsible for 10 more wins? Because Lord knows the roster and on paper, that's not going to provide the 10 more wins. But is it just a matter of breaks, luck, the wind blowing the right way?
To an extent, yeah, for sure. I mean, baseball is a game of breaks. Like you know, that ball is a foot in any direction, and it's caught easily, and we're up 1-0 and biting our nails for the whole game. That kind of stuff can't be forced, obviously. I mean, Vargas didn't toss it out there, and he just kind of barely put a bat on it. But basically, over a course of a season, you're going to get a few of those here and there, and they're going to break one way or the other. And I'm not superstitious, or I don't believe that in bad luck or anything like that. But if a team plays just a little bit better, then those breaks, you can't really force them on offense, but you can stop them from happening to you on defense. And then those things just kind of start to snowball. And I think when you're a team that's not making mistakes and you get those kind of breaks, you don't think of them as this fluke luck. And you don't really, like, we don't think of them as breaks in real time. We think of them in retrospect. And like, that team got no breaks whatsoever, but that's because they played bad. A team that plays a little bit better, we don't always think of that as a break. And you're just like, oh yeah, that kind of stuff happens. And we don't necessarily always need it to. So yeah, maybe 5 wins.
No, nobody on the 2005 White Sox had a career year. I mean, we all know that. I mean, nothing fell the right way there. Joe and Melissa, I imagine, again, you don't have to shake a Magic 8 ball too hard to realize that some things really fell the White Sox way, and they didn't last year. So I guess, if nothing else, it's better to be happening in our favor versus against. I mean, I didn't talk that into a question, but it's still sort of as a question. Would you like to, either one of you, weigh in on luck?
I was answering. I was talking to myself.
Okay, fair enough.
My microphone, and I was just saying that it's certainly better to start off the season like that, right? When you start off the season with the vibe of feeling like, okay, things can go our way, that right there, in my opinion, sets the stage moving forward, as opposed to what the Angels experienced today was basically looked very much like the White Sox from 2024. And then when that's the foot you start off on, then it just kind of snowballs, right? So, and maybe some of it went the right way has to do with the vibe in the clubhouse that Will Venable and staff have set. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is, but I certainly know that when you have something like today, it at least, like I said, sets the tone for at least feeling like it can be different. Now, will it be different? I don't know, but it can be different.
Opening day is clearly the time, especially with a 7-run win, to hysterically overreact to any of the good trends of the game. Because let's face it, as of one more game, we're not going to be able to get away with that anymore. Okay, very much Sox math champion, numbers man, Joe Resis. He is not going to be swayed by this sort of like luck or a lucky breeze, right? Or am I wrong, Joe?
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, it's I do think that a few more things will go their way this year. Hence my prediction that they would quote unquote improve to being a 51 win team. And I think that, just between some lucky breaks here and there and a much better manager, that'll be enough to get them up to being almost normal horrible instead of record-breaking horrible. In terms of how much I'm really affected by today in particular, not at all. It's just simply one very good day. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that we get to be above 500 and that we get to kind of joke around that we are tied for the best
first place White Sox.
Exactly. That's nice. We weren't even able to make it that far last year because they started with a 4-game losing streak, and things really didn't get much better after that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, overall, not very much affected by that.
I'm going to let the happy wave carry me through this post-game podcast, so you're going to still hear a bright, though tempered host here. But I will say that as of the minute this podcast ends, I'm going to just ascribe this. I said the White Sox would win one more game than last year, so this is the game. I expect pretty much the same the rest of the year. But hey, White Sox, prove me wrong. Also, Joe, thank you for providing another pocket schedule. Again, they run these all year. They're gonna do another print run. So I would say, Chicago White Sox 2025, normal horrible. Yeah, I would think that fits pretty well on a pocket schedule. Let's on that questionably dour note, as I'm just seeing the first place Chicago White Sox. Let's take a quick break. Come back and talk maybe about a couple details of the game, or I don't know. We'll just wax on the lovely poetry of baseball, where a team that wins 41 games the very next year could romp at home in front of an adoring crowd of 15,000. I'm not sure what they said the attendance was, but it wasn't what they said it was. But anyhow, let's take a break before I run out of time here in this podcast, and it gets really dark outside here. Hang with us for a minute or two. We are going to be back for our brief but very, very excited post-game podcast focusing on the first place Chicago White Sox. Hang with us. Hey, White Sox fans. My name is Brett Ballantini. I'm hosting Sox Pop post-game podcast. This is number 20. We've done 20 of these. Only 10 pregame podcasts. I'm not really sure how to explain that, and I'm not going to get into it because we're talking about a win. White Sox opening day win, 8-1, romp over the Angels. It really wasn't a game. Okay, for the first 3 frames, first inning and a half it was, but then the White Sox sort of broke it open with a bloop double that, as I think I wrote in the recap, Miguel Vargas will tell his grandchildren was a screaming liner to the left field wall to bring it to give the Sox a 3-0 lead that really they never had to pad, but they did. 5 more runs, courtesy home runs. Let's just talk about maybe your favorite moments of the game, most impressive performance perhaps of the game. Who's got who? Anyone wants to raise their hand, go on ahead, and let's talk about highlights of this game. It's been a lot of fun. Oh, man, Melissa's quick as the bugger. All right, do it.
Well, because I feel like we've been talking, those of us who've been talking about the White Sox the last, month or so of spring training and stuff, have been talking about the pitching and how the pitching, is going to be better. And that, at least that is a positive thing. And today, 10 Ks and 2 walks. When's the last time we saw that? Not very. I mean, I'm sure there were a few games last year with Crochet or what have you, but even Crochet today, I think he walked quite a few. So the fact that we only had 2 walks and 10 strikeouts, like, who are these guys? So to me, that was really exciting. I mean, of course, the offense, we didn't think they were going to be able to score any runs, and scoring 8 runs is fantastic. But I still, because to me, the pitching was real. Like the hits can be, the Sosa thing flopped in and duck snort and all that kind of stuff. And maybe the Angels pitchers are bad, but our pitchers were good. So yay.
And even Melissa on the hitting side, okay, just 2 walks, but only 6 strikeouts. We'll take that ratio from this offense 161 more games. I mean, I hate that ratio, but compared to what it could be. So, I mean, really even both sides, but you're right. Pitching, unbelievably outstanding, aside from a dicey 8th or whatever that was. Outstanding pitching. Okay, Joe, Brian, what you got?
Well, Brett, I don't like you saying 161 more games. You're not counting playoffs there, right?
Oh, my God. See, that is the sunny excitement we need, Brian.
The first place team. All they have to do is improve by like 80 games.
Okay, regular season games. You got me.
Fair enough. I think I was happiest for Vargas. I mean, like, God, just the face of misery before this, like just like human sorrow in a baseball uniform last year. And yeah, it's one game and all that. And yeah, one was a bloop hit and kind of a fluke, but like, yeah, just seeing him smile is much better than seeing him, sit there like, this the world collapsed around him, which it sort of had. And so, that's just, I don't know. It's little stuff like that, and I play softball and have for 20 years on a very mediocre team. We're all very mediocre. And obviously when you're playing against good people, it is much different. But yeah, when somebody starts hitting and people start doing stuff, like it just makes it more fun. And, the good clubhouse vibes come from winning. They don't, you don't have a good clubhouse if your team's terrible. But if guys start doing better than they thought and they kind of can get out of their head a little bit, like it's fun. It's more fun. And it's not going to make them win the division or anything like that. It's not going to get them over 500. But a couple flukes here and there, a couple better at bats here and there, and guys start enjoying it more. And you start to say, do I have to watch the White Sox today? Or versus, I'm going to watch the White Sox today.
Yeah, right.
Watch the game.
I mean, one spring training and one opening day game doesn't necessarily turn around a questionable trade deadline deal, but it's a start, and it is not. I mean, you want to root for this kid. He was the leadoff man, not exactly a traditional leadoff man, but he's a leadoff man. Credit Will Venable for saying, "Hey, I have two hitters in this lineup. I'm going to put them 1-2 in the order." I mean, he gets an A for opening day just on the basis of that. But yeah, it's nice to see. Something short of a 10,000-mile death stare from Miguel Vargas there in the dugout. So let's hope that he can keep stringing those together. Okay, Joe, we have two selections, but plenty to choose from. So what's something that's really jumping about you, positive from this game?
I really like the home run by Austin Slater, the one that got them on the board for their first run of the season. I, like many people, was very skeptical when the White Sox picked him up. And definitely seemed like his career, especially after last year, was very much on the downswing, and just wasn't a very desirable target. He was just sort of one of those players where it's like, yeah, okay, I guess for considering that this team has really no hopes of competing this year, yeah, sure, might as well roll the dice on him, see if he has anything left. But yeah, provided a decent spark today, and it was very nice to see. Yeah, in 84 games last year, he only hit 2 homers. So yeah, that's already almost has matched his total from last year. So that was nice to see.
Just like warming up before a basketball game. Don't save your misses. Just take what you can do. The White Sox, Malachi Hayes was fond of saying, and I'm sure all of us would agree with this, that to be a good GM, to have these successful teams set on several podcasts, you really got to make some of these little deals work out for you. Now, granted, we're not talking about a White Sox team on the verge of a division title or the playoffs. Okay, don't even say it, Brian. You're right. We are 1-0 in first place. So now that we are a White Sox team pushing to the playoffs even this season, point maybe even being more resonant that you need some of these Austin Slater type deals, these Brandon Drury pickups to sort of click for you. And sometimes that is just luck. Does a guy got anything left in the tank? I would think a lot of time it's circumstances of a team, and the White Sox have made a lot of careers end quicker than perhaps they should have than the other way around. But you do need some of these guys to step up. And we're not saying that Austin Slater is going to hit 20, or like Schriffen said today, or maybe it was Steve Stone said, they expect Andrew Vaughn to have way more than the 18 or 19 homers he had last year. Where did that come from? Say, yeah, I expect myself to hit 30 this year. So maybe it's going to happen. But anyhow, yeah, you need those little guys to sort of stitch stuff together. Okay, again, I know we're talking about the first place White Sox, so let's not be dour. But here's just sort of an essay question, and I know where I stand on it, but I'm curious to know. Sean Burke has a couple first inning was rough, 24 pitches, I believe. Second inning was quicker, but still a lot of hard contact in the second inning. But then he doesn't give up a hit, obviously no runs, gives up no hits for the next 6. He's only at 73 pitches, and we have a bullpen that's the White Sox bullpen. Do you send, manager Sage-Bollenbach, manager Resis, manager O'Neill, do you send Sean Burke out for the 7th inning?
I would have sent out Nicky Lopez. No No hesitation.
Yeah, well, you and Ron Washington. Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
he was dealing at that point, but again, now I'm, just getting so far away from analytics and from, I'm getting back into
Sure.
Portuguese baseball. But, if he has a bad inning, that's what he's going to remember. And there is something to that, and I know it's not, sabermetrics or anything. But I'm not sure where in the lineup he was then or where in the order he was. I wasn't paying enough. I didn't follow that closely enough to see. But I don't, yeah, he was dealing. He pitched 4 great innings. He pitched 6, but the last 4 were fantastic. Like, yeah, take him out there. If we lose the game, that sucks for him, but it's not on his mitt that we lost the game. So yeah, give the kid some confidence.
Manager O'Neill, it's cute that you think it matters where Sean Burke was in the lineup when we're talking about the Angels, but
That's
point
true. That's a
taken,
good
and
point.
you're right, because we are, after all, we're the White Sox. Even though we're the first place White Sox, can't get too chippy yet. Okay.
You want to
Manager.
bring him up before Moncada comes in. That's just smart baseball.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Because who knows? He might not know where the boos are being traded. Oh, yeah, that's something we'll have to get to. Okay, pause. But Manager Sage-Bollenbach and Manager Resis, what do you do with Sean Burke? Do you hand him the ball for the 7th inning?
Yeah, I agree with Brian, just because the pen is rusted at this point. Yeah, it's not a fantastic bullpen, but at that point we only would have had to get through, the last 3 innings. You have enough guys to throw an inning apiece. And I think I would have done the same too this early in the season, especially being his first start. He got over the nerves, he got in the groove. And then, yeah, ended on good note. And then we got enough rusted, decent enough arms to see if they could hold it.
Okay, I love you, Brian. I love you, Melissa. Joe, are you going to answer correctly? What do you got for me?
I agree. I would have played it super safe with him. I think if at this point, if you can get 6 clean innings really from any of the White Sox starters with a 3-0 lead, you happily take that deal and you hand it off to the bullpen at that point, especially with the younger arms. I think the risk outweighs the reward in terms of if you were to leave him out there. If he goes out there for the 7th inning, even if it goes really well, yeah, sure, like that's good, but when you compare that with the downside of if things don't go well, I feel like, I don't like that risk reward ratio at that point.
Okay. But to be fair, 2025 brings a gentler, kinder baseball to the diamond, and 3 of my guest managers would choose not to hand the ball to Sean Burke, having the game of his life and mowing through the Angels without batting an eye. But okay, so I get fired for being too aggressive. So be it. I'll wear that. No, yes, I would have handed the ball to him. Would have maybe had somebody ready. Would have given him a batter, then given him a second batter, then given him the whole inning. Because again, he would have remembered. He would have been a little nervous, like, "Gee, should I be here in the 7th?" And they say, "Oh wait, it's the Angels. Look, like Tim Anderson's coming up, or whoever." Okay, all right. I guess if Trout is leading off, all right, maybe. And I guess I should have researched this better before dissing the decision and gently chiding my 3 guests. Okay, in a category of not gently chiding, no, in a category of harshly chiding. Let's talk about the receptions of 2. I guess you sort of got to punt the Nicky Lopez reception because most people are just like, "Oh, wow, this was not expected." Well-rested bullpen and a day off tomorrow. But Nicky Lopez is pressed into pitching. Guess it paid off. Didn't incur any more damage to what was already 8 runs on the ledger for the Angels. But Tim Anderson starting the game, batting 5th, came up in the first inning to a pretty rousing ovation. He took a little extra pause. I think maybe, not certain, but Corey Lee did that sort of fake position in the infield or whatever, or maybe it wasn't fake, but at any rate, certainly let him enjoy the moment. And of course, we had a different response. Not sure in any way why it would be a different response from Yoán Moncada, who was actually pretty roundly booed when he came up to the plate. Just as good and a better, actually, per season player for the White Sox as Tim Anderson, both of them top 50 hitters for the White Sox all time, per WAR if you care about that. What were your thoughts hearing both of those reactions, and how badly do you want to scold the 15,000 in the park at the time, despite the White Sox claiming double the attendance, for having done that? It seems really wholly unnecessary and seems a little meatheady, but what did all of you think?
I was super disappointed because after the like rousing ovation that they gave TA, and then there was an angle that caught TA. He was choked up, like he was visibly choked up about that. And that standing ovation and the length of it was absolutely deserved by him. So I thought that was super classy. And then the Moncada thing, I was like, what? Like to me, it just didn't make any sense. And I think Schriffen was like, well, or no, Stone, I think it was like, oh, well, Moncada wasn't here as long or whatever. I was like, that's dumb. Like that has nothing to do with it. And so it was like, we did this great moment and then we just crapped all over what we did for TA and looked like, yeah, you said like a bunch of meatheads, like a bunch of jerks. And like, for the most part, I don't really feel like that's our fan base. So I was really confused by it, to be honest. I just wasn't sure. Like, if you don't want to like give him the standing ovation, then just don't do anything. I mean, that could have easily just let him go to the plate, let him take his at bat and just shut up.
As the calendar pages turn and the world turns, I start to wonder exactly what is our fan base, and I have to look to the right and to the left and say, who exactly are you? But that's the world we live in, so I guess you do have to question what I would never have questioned about my fellow fans. Brian, Joe, what do you think about it?
I mean, I totally agree with both of you. It was ridiculous. I think we never get a chance to boo Rick Hahn, really. We never get a chance to boo Jerry Reinsdorf. And for a number of reasons, mostly entirely unfair, Moncada has been the face of the failure of the rebuild.
Sure.
That he came in and it was the most exciting trade. We're like, I can't believe we got a guy like this. We finally have a guy like this. And when he was good, he was fantastic. And I defended him to the death. Like, he didn't want to get injured. He didn't want to do, but he just became the focal point of the disappointment. And it's bullshit to boo him because he was not the reason why the Sox didn't succeed. He's not the reason why the window closed, but it's unfair to him. And he was just the lightning bolt for everyone's ire of expectations versus this terrible collapse and this window slamming shut and shattering. And it's not fair. He tried hard. He played hard and he played really well. And it makes us look ridiculous. But we don't get a chance to boo Jerry. So they decided this is the guy we're going to boo. TA got what he deserved and Moncada did not.
Yeah, he didn't choose to show up at summer camp with COVID and then proceed to play 55 of the 60 games or 52 or whatever it was of the games, more than I think probably most anybody else on the team, even though he came in sick. But let's dog him. And again, it wasn't a point. I even get it. He flies out, or whether it's a key point of the game or whatever, he flies out or something. I mean, I could see people cheering that. I mean, I think we all do that. Like, oh, hey, good. I'm glad he's out. Glad he didn't hurt our team. Okay, I get that. The whole rousing, but the booze and coming to the plate.
It's ridiculous.
Got to do better, White Sox. Got to do better.
He did everything he could for this franchise. Absurd.
I don't expect a counterpoint from you, Joe, but other thoughts on the different receptions?
I kind of had a feeling that something like that might happen for Moncada. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not really surprised about it. I don't really have that much to add. I feel like you all said it very nicely, though. It's unfortunate, the way that Moncada is viewed by many people in Chicago. I feel like it is, not what he deserves. I mean, I definitely feel like he, gave it a good shot. He had some good moments, and it didn't end super well in terms of like the note that he left Chicago on, but it still was not the reaction that he deserved, and it's an unfortunate way to visit Chicago.
And you're alluding to it, Joe, but I mean, I don't think any of us would have had. I mean, I was still surprised, but we wouldn't have had to dig too deep, knowing how both players were not necessarily treated fairly, but one was treated far less fairly than the other. And he has been such a flashpoint in a way that maybe even Eloy wasn't. And let's face it, those two probably had parallel disappointments, and Eloy had a fraction of the accomplishment and frankly, all the same hype that Moncada did. Okay, I guess he wasn't a number one overall prospect, but I mean, pretty darn close. So yeah, Yoán had always gotten a shorter straw in all of this, and he always got that sort of like the extra dig in criticism. And we do not really have to read in between the lines too much to figure out why that might be. But it is unfortunate. It's too bad. And hopefully, when other former players come to town, they won't necessarily get the same reception. I'm not sure Eloy's necessarily going to make it. He's playing in AAA for the Rays now, but I mean, we'll see. Undeserved, and maybe there's still time to sort of redeem it. Moncada maybe gets to start on Saturday, and maybe he gets a different from the 550 who are there. No, what am I talking about? This is the first place White Sox. The 25,550 that show up. Hopefully, you'll get a more rousing response and something that's a little more deserved. Because let's face it, he played just as well as maybe a little less memorably as TAT. He had the flair for drama, good and bad. But Moncada was when he was there, he was steady, and he was better than TA at his best. So too bad.
I mean, I think too, like just going off of what Brian said, it kind of triggered something too. Like, I think Moncada was always like blamed for his injuries, like they were his fault, whereas TA was like, oh, bad breaks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, TA just, he hurt his knee and that's too bad. But with Moncada, it was always like, oh, well, he didn't take care of his body, and he did. And so that whole perception of like the non-performance was Moncada's fault, where for TA, it wasn't like, it was bad breaks, and then there was a little off the field stuff. But
yeah,
he danced in a nice shirt once. He obviously didn't care about baseball.
No, yeah, clearly, he has a pop song. He's a pop star.
Clearly means he doesn't prepare himself. Like it.
Yeah, no, you're right. TA got injured hustling, and Yoán Moncada got injured carrying like beef up the stairs.
Yeah, how many times have you heard a fan say, "Oh, Moncada was just lazy"?
Yeah. It's just disgusting.
Okay, Joe, I'm going to give you a chance now to correct ills of just hours ago in the pregame podcast. Have you turned it around and have you looked into the vacant eyes of the Angels of Anaheim, Los Angeles, Riverside, North Hollywood, and seen that they are not the formidable foe that you feared they were, and think that perhaps we are going to win this opening series now?
Well, now that they've won the first one, they only have to split the remaining two. So I think it's likely that they'll be able to win one of the two. So sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, that kind of it's like a when something that changes the odds happens, you kind of have to account for that. So yeah.
I saw you consulting the spreadsheet. You saw the odds say, you know what it is. No, it's true. Hey, listen, it's true. And listen, White Sox, when you've won over Joe Resis, notoriously tough on you guys, notoriously tough. When you won over Joe Resis, come on, this is the first place White Sox we're talking about right now. Melissa, Brian, you think there's a possibility of a sweep now at this point? We got momentum?
I was with Joe because on the podcast we did before, I also said that they were I didn't say that they were not going to win a single game. So I will, now that there is a little bit of momentum and they're feeling positive, I will say that they have the possibility of winning one more game. But I do want to see if I can go back and edit my spreadsheet about who my MVP is, because everybody got a hit today but Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah, Andrew Vaughn's going to have a tough one. But I mean, as we all know, he should be hitting more than 18 or 19 home runs this year, just cut by osmosis, by remote control. I'm not really sure what the thinking there is.
Yeah, because he looked so good at the plate today compared to everybody else. Like, what the heck? Like whatever.
There's this terrible bit of footage they played, I believe, at the beginning or spring training last year. Maybe it was him and PK, like they were doing some BP or whatever, and Konerko, known leader of men, was like rapping with him about how like this is about. He asked him his age, and he's like, I don't know what Vaughn said, like 25, whatever. He's like, oh yeah, this is the year. This is the year you get it. This is the year it turns around. I thought, man, you just cursed Andrew Vaughn because he ain't gonna. But anyway, I'm not exactly chuckling at your pick, Melissa. But I was laughing, yeah. So I guess that's what it was. Although I was picking on Joe because look, I completely gave Melissa a pass for having predicted the White Sox might not win a game. Of course, I think your prediction also was they're not going to play all three games because of I don't know. It's March and we're in Chicago, but Brian, of course, naturally, you predicted the White Sox to sweep this series, so you're all in for the sweep, right?
The Angels pitched Nicky Lopez today. They batted Yoán Moncada. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Angels are going to lose 120 like we did last year, but I think the Angels are more 2024 White Sox than the 2025 White Sox are.
Oh my goodness!
I have to hope that. I think that this is an organization also in free fall. It is not a compliment to the White Sox to say that the Angels might be in a worse spot, potentially. Of course, we could lose the next two 10-0, 10-0. But
those are different post-game podcasts, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think we win. I think we win 2 out of 3 here.
Okay.
I think the Angels are that bad.
I mean, the truth is, you're right to temper the prediction. I mean, I'll just be an idiot and say, yeah, we're gonna sweep now. But we're ignoring the Ron Washington long game of really, really, really icing his bullpen with 2 days rested. Now another day tomorrow, and who knows? Maybe a game banged on Saturday. I mean, so rested. They're all going to pitch at once, apparently.
I didn't realize he was 72. They said that on the broadcast today. He's like getting like Tony La Russa.
But still out there on one knee hitting those grounders to all the young guys. So, a little more hands-on than Tony. Tony was only hands-on to
Hey, don't you remember how fast Tony
yank your mean? Yeah,
that's
true. Yeah, he had to defend that time. And then to jump up to the top step and yank your mean into the dugout, which is really sort of where it all turned, didn't it? Thanks, Tony. Anyhow, though, this is the first place White Sox we're talking about now, and things are different. We are going to be playing in October. At least Brian O'Neill said that. So, when everyone wants to write in and complain in about 10 days when we're 3-8, you know where to direct the mail. It's Brian. He's back, so he's going to have to take it. But he's always been pretty sunny and optimistic, because what's the point? You're going to watch the games, Brian. You might as well hope the team wins. So I can see the logic.
Exactly.
It takes an enormous cost to be this cynical. So can't you see it?
Gonna put this whatever the odds were for them to win the World Series. It was like if you bet like $5, you were gonna win this massive amount of money. Or something.
Yes, I think.
Which, by the way, was still a ripoff, in my opinion.
Yeah, you should actually, and you may well by October own our country if you made that bet, and I think that might actually bear out. But that is a whole other post-game podcast, so we'll probably get to that as well as the world comes around us. The White Sox have not crumbled. They've won 8-1 in the opening game, and who knows, if they keep winning 8-1, we might just continue just by superstition alone might still just continue to have post-game podcasts. And if I can count on even one of Melissa Sage-Bollenbach, Brian O'Neill, or Super Joe Resis to show up and do that, we will do that. But for now, I'm going to post this podcast and take a break after a very long couple, 3, 4, whatever this has been, days. But hey, we get to celebrate a victory, so it feels a little bit better than just having to grumble and say, man, why am I a fan of this team? For one day, we can say, okay, I'm still questioning that, but I'll just question it so close, not scream it out the window the way I might otherwise. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Brian. It's fun to celebrate with you, and I don't know. Let's do it again soon. I don't know what the occasion's going to be, but as they take first place into May, let's do it then. At the very least, let's do it then. Consider it a date. Write it down in pen in your calendar planners, and we'll talk again in a month. But as it is for now, first place White Sox. Enjoy it as long as we can, and according to Brian O'Neill, it's never not going to be. So let's just run with that until there's a reason not to. But thanks everybody for listening, hanging with us for our opening day extravaganza. At least the White Sox made it pay off for us. No snow in Chicago to snow out the game, and no loss or embarrassment by the White Sox. So sort of a perfect day. So thanks for spending some of that with us.